Get ready for an episode packed with humor, heart, and an incredible story of reinvention. Today, we're talking to Annie Korzen, an actress you'll recognize from Seinfeld and a TikTok sensation who's proving it's never too late to go viral. From her Hollywood tales to her rise as the Krispy Kreme Lady, this episode is one you don't want to miss, and that's coming up right now.
All right, everyone. I'm excited to introduce my next guest. You may remember her as Doris Clumpus from Seinfeld, or more recently, TikTok sensation. Also, author of The Book of Annie, Humor, Heart, and Chutzpah from an Accidental Influencer. I am so excited to welcome to the show Annie Korzen. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm pretty good, actually. My life has surprised me. It's taken a turn that surprised me, so I'd say I'm okay.
We can get into the acting and Seinfeld in a second, but so in your 80s, you become a TikTok sensation.
It's really strange, isn't it? It's certainly the last thing I ever expected. And I still don't quite understand it. I don't understand TikTok. I don't understand social media. And so that's why in my book, I call it, I refer to myself as an accidental influencer. It all happened quite accidentally.
Talk to me because I was doing a little reading. You have a friend and she got you to record something and then you went famous.
Well, the thing is this, I do something called storytelling. I don't know if you know, like The Moth. Have you ever listened to The Moth? So storytelling is like the hero's personal essay. But in LA, if I was in a storytelling show, we were lucky if there was 60 people in the audience. That would be a good crowd. So one day I said to like a 30-year-old friend, I said, I wish I could find a larger audience for my stories. I think I have something to say. Maybe I should put some clips up on Instagram. And she, being 30, went, oh no, Instagram is so toxic. It's so last century. You belong on TikTok. And I said, you're crazy. TikTok is about young girls shaking their booties, putting on makeup. Why would anybody want to hear from this old urban Jewish lady? And she said, trust me, you will go viral. And here's the thing. One of the themes of my book is you have to have a mantra in life. And I try to keep my mantra as, yeah, why not? When something is suggested to me that I kind of think is ridiculous, on the other hand, what am I going to lose? So I go, yeah, why not? So I said to her, I think this is the stupidest idea I've ever heard, but yeah, why not? Let's do it if you help me with the tech stuff. And she was right. I went viral. I now have, I think I have around half a million followers and many, many millions of likes. Oh no, yeah, half a million followers. I'm as surprised as anyone else, except maybe I'm not surprised because I really do think that older women like myself have something to offer that's been overlooked for a long time and suddenly now is getting attention. I think I have wisdom. I think I have life experience. I think I have something to say and something to inspire people with. And I'm finally getting a chance to talk. So yeah, it's going from 60 people in a room to half a million people on the internet. To me, it's been a nice bump.
It's amazing. And yeah, it's 14 million likes, but the baller move is following 0.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't follow anybody. One of the reasons I don't is because it's public. They tell you who you follow. If I would follow someone, I don't want people to know who I follow. That's number one. There are some people that I look at. And number two, as I said, I don't really understand TikTok. I don't understand Instagram. The only social media I honestly use is Facebook because I'm an old person. Only old people use Facebook and I like it. So I'm really there as a performer, not as I don't want any more time sucking things in my life. And but the main thing, as I say, is because it's not private information. I don't want people to know who I'm following and who I'm not following. Does that make any sense to you?
100%,
It
100%.
does. Are you on TikTok? Do you follow people?
I follow people, but now that I know I can get 500,000 without following people, I might stop. I will say, like, I just recently had one clip and I average around 200 views. One clip go 150,000.
Oh, good for you. What was it about?
It was a clip about Nicole Eggert from our interview that we did, where she was talking about Corey Haim. And the only other one, I had 44,000 on one where Bill Sheft from the Letterman show was talking about Martin Short. I swear to God, those are the only two. And all
Really?
my followers are from those two videos.
How interesting. Well, you might need, I actually have somebody that I consult with who advises me on what to do and what to talk about. And sometimes it's hard to do all on your own. I've had help along the way. And I certainly would need help because I'm a total technophobe, techno moron. I had trouble figuring out how to get on here today.
So your original viral video was you talking about Krispy Kreme donuts.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you what, an idiot I am on TikTok. I somehow came across one where you're explaining that you're the Krispy Kreme woman, right? And
Oh, I explained the origin of it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so I'm like, I gotta find this video. So I started searching for it, and then I think, oh, I'll search Korzen cream, and then it comes right up. And then after all this, I go back to your profile to realize I skipped past your pinned ones, and it was right there the whole time. 2.4 million views just saying that
I
Krispy
think it's
Kreme.
actually been more than that because that's just TikTok. Somebody wrote me that because then people share it on other platforms. So they shared it on Insta and they shared it other places. A friend of mine said, "Do you know that thing has been seen over 1 billion times?" And I get stopped in the street, which I love because I'm an attention or a performer. People stop me, "Oh, you're the Krispy Kreme." A lot of them, I think most of my fans don't actually know my name. They just know me as the Krispy Kreme lady. So they'll stop and ask for a selfie or whatever. But it's weird, and that's the one that I cannot understand. I cannot understand why people respond to that the way they do.
You never know. That's the crazy thing. You upload these things, something can blow up, and
Yeah.
then the next thing doesn't. And yeah, I just sometimes things just hit. You just, yeah, but that was
Well, you know what you're saying, which is true, which is that in a way, it's another one of the themes of my book. If there's something that you're passionate about doing, like I am about sharing my thoughts, speaking my own words, you just have to keep doing it. And as you just said, you don't know what's going to suddenly affect people. You don't know what's going to, you just do your thing. My thing is to share what I feel. I feel donuts should be crispy and Krispy Kreme donuts are not crispy. That's all I was trying to say. It's taken on a life of its own because people are reading something else into it. They're reading somebody who's making small talk, who's bad at talking. Do you know what sounds are on TikTok? It's when someone will take that video that I did and make another video using my lip syncing to my
lip syncing.
voice.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But now I think there are hundreds of thousands of sounds of that particular video, but people put their own interpretation. They'll say, "This is me trying to talk to my girlfriend's dad. This is me trying to make conversation at a cocktail party." In other words, they put and so they use my voice, but create their own scenario. So for the most part, it's about people who are awkward, having trouble speaking. That was never my intention. I was just talking about donuts.
You just wanted a crispy donut.
I just wanted a crispy donut, like I remember from my childhood. Or you're too young to remember chock full of nuts?
I remember a chock full of nuts. I
You do? They had good donuts, whole wheat donuts, crispy, on the out. They were warm and crispy on the outside, moist and flaky on the inside, with maybe a little bit of powdered sugar on top. No disgusting icing or any of that crap. I'm not a big
Yeah,
icing fan.
Krispy Kreme is a thing in its own, though. Okay, so people come up to you. So are you known? You're known more for that, you think, on the street than anything else?
Totally. Totally. But then I do get some lovely comments. I mean, I read all the comments. And since I talk about things, I mean, I consider myself a humorist, but I also talk about serious things, about marriage and motherhood and fashion and thrifting and lifestyle. And some of my stuff gets a little serious. I do get people telling me, I love your wisdom, I love your insight. Thank you, I needed to hear this today. I do want to encourage people to live their best lives if I can. I mean, why not? You've only
Right,
got one life. You might as well live your best one, right?
right, exactly. No, I love your TikTok. As I started to go down it, discovering it after we connected, and there's just something, can I say, soothing about just listening to you talk. I
I've
mean,
heard that before. And you know something funny? I've always hated my voice, always, as an actor, because when I listen to myself, I hear the Bronx where I grew up. And I worked very hard trying to get the Bronx accent out, but when I listen to myself, I hear it. So I get a lot of comments like the one you just made. We love your voice. We love listening to. We like the sound. It's healing. It's soothing. And I'm thinking, are they talking to me?
well, I think your voice at this point it's unique. So I mean, it's like when you talk, it's like wherever you brought that accent down to, it just when you talk, it's like you it's a very unique voice. So and it's just
Well, this has all been a surprise to me. So, so I guess we just have to stay long enough because I've always wanted wide acceptance and wide, I'm not going to say adulation, but appreciation. And I'm getting now in some ways, I'm thinking, oh, I wish I had gotten this when I was 40, but hey, whenever it happens, right? But as I said before, if you keep doing what you do, I do keep writing. I mean, in all those years when I didn't have this big audience, I kept writing, I kept creating stories, I kept creating material. So this is like a payoff for many years of insignificance
so
or anonymity. Is that the word?
so Annie, let's go back in time then. So I know you've been acting in TV since at least the mid 70s. Does that sound right? Like looking at your IMDb, like Edge of Night in the 80s, Foreplay, all these
Oh,
things.
early ones. My big thing
Yeah,
happened in the 90s, and you know what that was.
right. But leading up to that, leading up to Seinfeld, is what was your original plan? Like, when did this?
I always thought it'd be great to be on a sitcom, but I never had a big career. My looks were wrong, my age was wrong. I was basically a bit player. I still am in a way. I'm just a better known bit player. Did you see me, by the way, in Thelma? I was just in Thelma.
No, I didn't.
Have you seen Thelma? I have a nice little scene in that. But I never had a significant career. And then in 91, my agent called. I mean, so as I say, I'm a comedy person, so I always thought I belonged on a sitcom. That's where I thought I should be. But in 91, my agent called and he said, listen, there's this new show. I don't know anything about it. There's a very small role, a couple of lines, and a better known actress whom I knew, a better known actress at the agency turned down the audition because she said it's too small. And I have no self-respect. I'll do it. So I said, okay, I'll go in. And I went in and I did a couple of lines. And when we watched the show at home, when it ran, my husband said, I don't get this show. It's not about anything. And those, of course, so that was Seinfeld. And I didn't know, or maybe they didn't know at the time, that my character would recur. So I ended up having a recurring role on Seinfeld. And again, back to my yeah, why not thing. When they offered it to me, I thought, well, yeah, why not? So it's a couple of lines as a day's pay. Since I went back and did a couple of Doris Compasses, plus they brought me back in for a
Yeah,
second
four.
character. I'm
Yeah.
an obnoxious airline person. In the 4 or 5 episodes I did, I don't think I had more than 30 lines. It's still a bit player. This is 1991, right? At this point, I have earned over $100,000 in residuals from those 30 lines. So I sometimes think about the actress who said, well, no, it's not good enough for me. And my think of do it, might just say do it. You do not know. Doing something is better than not doing something, right? I don't regret anything in my life I've done, just the things I haven't done.
So over the years, okay, so ever since then, you've received $100,000 in residual checks from
That's right.
4
That's
episodes
right.
of Seinfeld.
That's right.
Okay. That's
Well, there's another one, I'm in the 100 best thing, a compilation thing. So it's 4 or 5, I'm not sure.
okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. So who turned it
As
down?
a bit player, though, as a bit player.
Right, but sometimes like I was talking to who played Banya, the comedian on the show too. And even like Putty,
Oh,
like when you think about it,
and
like as much as they stick in your head, they were only in 9 episodes. There's not like the number of episodes that some of these folks were in is so small, but the impact that this show had, even with minimal exposure, case in point, then
yeah.
it's amazing. So who turned it
Well,
down?
the
I
thing
didn't know who
is,
turned it down.
I mean, but here's the thing though, it's not just about the money. My stock went up as a performer. Suddenly I was being seen by casting directors who wouldn't see me before because the cachet of having a recurring role on Seinfeld is very, very meaningful. So that opened all kinds of doors for me. It was really a life-changing experience for me, being on that show that no one ever heard of, that wasn't about anything.
It's amazing.
Because I suddenly got respect as a performer. And occasionally it will even happen that a producer will call my agent and they'll say, is Annie available next week? Because one of the things about me is, and about good bit players like myself, is I know how to get a laugh on one line. And that's a skill. That's a specific skill. I know how to find the funny. I know how to get a laugh on one line. So sometimes I will just say, does Annie have time? Could she come in and do a day next week? We have a small thing for her to do. And again, I don't say no to anything. Yeah, I do it. Why not?
Hired gun for laughs. Steve Heitner. That's who I couldn't. Kenny Banya. The Annie. Do you know who, or can you tell me who the actress was that turned down your role?
I do, but I don't think I should say her name.
Okay.
Should I? No.
Why not? What? She didn't want it. It's not like.
I don't know. Well, it was Alex Elias. And when I knew her, she worked a lot, and she worked a lot in commercials. She made a lot of money. I haven't heard anything about her in many years, so I'm not sure she stayed in, or I don't know anything about her. But I remember that she was one of the actresses that I looked up to. I said, I always thought, well, I wish I could have a career like hers. She had a very specific, I mean, she was good. She was cute. She had a cute voice. And if I would walk into an audition and she was there, I knew that she was going to get it, not me. So it was just strange, right?
Well, thank you. I now you're on Seinfeld. It's a hot show. You're hot. Well, for Seinfeld, talk to me about, because you got to work with Liz Sheridan, Barney Martin,
I
uh,
love Liz.
Andy
I love
Barrett.
Barney. I loved everybody. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, they were nice people, including Jerry, by the way. Jerry's very gentle, very nice guy, considerate. It was a pleasant place to be.
so they treated you well, even the coming in, just every once a season, every few seasons.
That's always in the beginning, when you do a little bit part like that, it's really more difficult than it sounds because you're the new kid on the block. They already have established relationships. They're a family. You got to be careful. You don't sit down with them at lunch unless they invite you. You don't talk to them in makeup unless they talk for, you gotta kind of stay away. But since I repeated, so eventually I got friendly with people and I got to know them and it was okay. Doing that kind of work, being a bit player, especially on a hit show like that, is not the easiest thing to maneuver. You've got to figure out how to fit in a subtle way.
So, because they don't know if you're coming back, you're just there for a little bit, you're leaving, but then by
Yeah,
the third time you're there, fourth time, now you're like, hey, come, come eat with us.
right. Oh, Annie, great to see you. What's
Yeah.
going on? Right, right.
When you talk about your residual checks, it probably doesn't hurt that you were in some really classic episodes. I mean, like,
That's the thing. Isn't that funny? Right. I am in. My first one was the pen,
right.
and I did the Cadillac. I did raincoats. What else did I do?
And
Oh,
then,
and the airplane one where Elaine is stuck in,
right. And
you
coach with you and this other guy. And
know,
while Jerry's in
I was
first
flying
class
in first class.
model.
So I'm really in some of the classic episodes. How lucky was that?
Amazing. Also lucky that it was such a good show. There were so many good classic episodes, but those definitely stick out because
I know, yeah. Isn't that amazing that I got that lucky, right?
okay, so they brought you back. You played Doris, then they brought you back as a passenger because probably at this point they don't know if you're coming back as Doris, and then they start writing you back as Doris. So in later seasons.
No, no, they brought me. I think I did a couple of Dorises, and then they said, "Do you want to come in and do this other character?" And I said, "Yeah, why not to do that airplane one?"
Amazing. So you also did some you did Mad About You, Coach.
No, I never did Mad About. Oh, wait a minute, I did. I think that's so funny. This is so funny. I forgot about that. Yes, I did Mad About You, but my more recent ones that were interesting, at least to my audience and my TikTok audience, I did Pen 15. It was a terrific show. Have you
Yeah.
seen that? I did Pen 15 and I did Why Women Kill. And I did The Shriek Next Door, but the Pen 15, the Why Women Kill, people, I'm still getting comments. People say, oh, I just saw you last night on blah, blah. People are still watching those shows.
So in addition to being a TikTok star, you're still working. I mean, you're still like you still
Oh,
have
yeah.
you're
I did that with
nonstop.
Thelma, and I just had a really small role in a movie that's about to open called The Uninvited. But Thelma was fun. And here's the thing about Thelma, talking about older women. The star of Thelma, which is a lovely movie if you haven't seen, star of Thelma was June Squibb. She's 94. And a friend of mine, Bunny Levine, who works all the time, has a great scene in it, and she's 95. So I was actually the young kid on the block. I was the youngster in that. I'm 86.
You're bringing the average down.
Scene was with My scene was with June Squibb, and now do you know who this is? Richard Roundtree, Shaft.
Yes, yes.
And so I was thrilled to meet him. He still looked good too. See, he had a movie with a lot of very senior people there, all doing a very good job too.
I love that. That's so cool. As a what you call a bit player, though, you've the path that you've taken or that was given to you as a character player, that it's opened it up for you to be on so many different things because you can come in, kill it, then go on to another show,
I don't know. I have to think about that. I always feel that I've had a limited career, more limited than it should have been because of certain prejudices in Hollywood. For example, this is again why I appreciate my TikTok status. If a casting call went out today for an attractive older woman, I would never be seen. I'm too ethnic looking. I'm too Jewy looking. They would say she's too charactery. I'm not what Hollywood considers attractive. My TikTok followers, on the other hand, keep telling me how gorgeous I am. I've never heard that before in my life. I've never been told that I'm beautiful till I started doing TikTok at 82. And people tell me I'm beautiful. I have always been told I am not pretty, I am charactery. And which means also that things I think I should do, like to play a judge or a lawyer or a therapist or a doctor, again, I don't get seen for because they don't see me that way. They don't see me as somebody, as someone with education and authority, which I actually am in real life. I'm well educated, I'm well read, but I just play nasty, abrasive Jewish, Italian, ethnic women. I just that's basically what I do over and over and over. Not a lot of variety there. So I have a little bit of resentment, not more than a little bit, that I've been pigeonholed more than I needed to be, just because Hollywood has certain prejudices about how women should look, how attractive women should look, and how educated women should look. So what do you think about that?
I think you're onto something there. I think, but you are beautiful. So don't let Hollywood define how you are.
Okay,
So
now you have just said something that I'm going to interrupt you because it is also one of the themes of the Book of Annie, humor, heart, and chutzpah from an accident. One of the themes of my book, because I've had this experience now in my geezer years to be told that I'm beautiful, do not let, how shall I say, do not be imprisoned by other people's negative opinions of you. It took me a lifetime to learn that. And I'll tell you another way I learned it. All my life, I have been told that I'm too talkative, that I'm too opinionated, that I'm too candid and blunt about what I think. I've been criticized for that. I've been told those are unattractive qualities, particularly in women. And I've always apologized for it. Oh, I talk too much. Oh, I'm too blah, blah, blah. And guess what? Now on TikTok, I am being celebrated for all the things that I was criticized for all my life. So that's why I'm saying we should not be imprisoned by other people's negative opinions. And I'll tell you something funny. I was just rereading Charles Dickens' Great Expectations. And I don't know how much you remember the story, but this poor boy has a devastating love, devastating crush for this cruel, beautiful, rich girl. And at one point in a scene, he says, Charles Dickens writes from the point of view of the boy, her contempt for me was infectious, and I caught it. In other words, he then had contempt for himself because of how she saw. Did you get? And I thought, oh my God, Charles Dickens is saying what I'm saying. Let's not catch other people's bad opinion. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with you in any way? Have you experienced that in your life? Of people
uh,
telling
I
you?
I totally get what you're saying. As a matter of fact, when you started talking about this, I had pulled out some quotes from your book about when you talked about Jewish looking equals ugly and all those schmuck in the shiksa movies
Yeah.
that they make. And the note that I wrote was, "Oh, you predate this predates nobody wants this," which just
Don't
came out.
start it on me. Don't start me on that. I hate it so much. I watched it all. I was amused, but everything in that was offensive to me. Every single thing. Not just the depiction of all the Jewish characters who are all disgusting in every way. The women are monstrous and entitled and spoiled and evil. The men are jerky, but the Gentile girls are uneducated, stupid. Who brings ham to a kosher home? You know what I mean? How dumb do you have to be to bring uh prosciutto to a kosher home? So everyone there is just dealt with in such a shallow, superficial way. I did like him. I like the guy. I like some of the actors, but I was very offended by the whole thing. I'm very angry at all the popularity it's getting. I really am.
We have that discussion in our household a lot. about
You do?
the depiction of the Jewish women. Yeah. Because yeah, it was
Tova Feldshuh eating ham out of the garbage and telling her, "You'll never get my son." I mean, such a monster. Why does a Jewish mother have to be a monster? Still to this day. It's the one racial stereotype that no one objects to. It's the one left that no one objects to, ever.
yes. And the other thing is, like, with the turn of with Hollywood being so focused on, you have to be the thing to play the thing, or the right, yeah,
Oh,
right.
oh,
And then, but the only exception seems to be Jewish people. Like anyone can be play.
totally true. Anyone,
Yeah.
anyone.
No
And
one.
I don't mind it if they're real, if they're believable. You know, I didn't mind when what's her name, Valerie, what's wrong with me, played Rhoda
Right.
after that because she
The
was
Miss Maisel
believable. She was
characters were
good.
great. I thought the
But
father,
the
Tony
people who
Shalhoub, was
do it and who's
amazing.
bad at it, it drives me crazy. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Golda Meir has been portrayed twice in the movies, once by Ingrid Bergman, once by Helen Mirren. I mean, come on. That's always my joke. If they make a story, I always used to say in one of my solo shows, if they make a movie out of my material, I will be played by Meg Ryan. I mean,
Uh,
yeah.
oh man, that's funny. All right. Other than Seinfeld and the current Pen 15 or Thelma, like, would you, if I just throw out a few, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that's one of my favorite sitcoms ever. You guessed it on
Oh, I'm topless in that one.
that. You were in
Also
Hannah
nice people.
Montana,
Also nice
ER. I
people.
mean, you were in some big, you've been in a lot of the big ones throughout the years. So
And I've been lucky. For the most part, they've been good experiences. People were nice and I was treated well.
talk to me about the moth, because that's a big kind of story turn in your book where
Yeah, if
you
you're a storyteller.
rejected, and then finally
Yeah.
they invited you in full.
Uh, Again, like my theme before, if you want to do something, you have to keep doing it. And I wanted to be a storyteller and I wanted to be with a moth. And every time I performed, I would send them a video of my new story. And I wouldn't get, they would sometimes say, "Thanks for submitting, keep submitting." But no one committed to me. And it was a dream of mine to be with them. And I kept getting nowhere with them. I just kept sending, and I knew I was good at, I know that I'm a really good storyteller. And I could not get any response from them. So finally, I was so upset about it. I wanted it so badly that I sent them a story. And then I said to my husband, "That's it, I give up. I can't take this rejection anymore. It's too painful." And literally the next day, the head of the mall called from New York. "Annie, we'd like you to be on our main stage, St. Louis, Berkeley, LA, Schubert Theater in Boston, on the radio program." And it was everything that I had dreamed about. And now I'm very friendly with them. They're going to actually put another story of mine on the radio soon. But when I said to them, finally, I said, "What took you so long?" It took 9 years, 9 years of being rejected. I said, "What took you so long to book me?" They said, "Oh, you got better." And the fact is, if you do what you do get better. I'm much more skilled storyteller now than I was when I started out, or even 4 or 5 years after I started out, because you learn by doing and you learn by failing. I think too many people now are afraid to fail. We don't let our kids fail. Everything gets a reward, everything gets a gold star. I think failure is not always the worst thing. It may feel like it at the moment,
No, I
but
agree
it
with you
can.
100%. I always joke, I go, hey, if you listen to my podcast backwards, you're gonna be like, why is it getting worse? You know? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I like that. That's a good one. I may steal it from you.
Okay.
Um,
Tag me on TikTok.
so I think then again, if you keep doing what you do, hopefully, eventually you will be discovered in some way. Now, maybe there are tragedies in the world. There's a lot of great talent that never gets discovered. I don't know what to say about that. I don't believe that every story has a happy ending.
Agree with you 100%. Well, interestingly, as I was diving into your career, like in addition to the TikTok, which I'll say is you embracing taking control of everything and taking advantage of all the things that maybe Hollywood didn't love, but the world obviously is embracing
Mhm.
wholeheartedly. But you've had you've done solo shows throughout the years as well, so you definitely have a history of kind of taking the bull by the horns and doing your own thing, and not just sitting around waiting for someone to hand you something.
Yes. Yeah, you have to do that. I think all creative people have to do that. You can't sit by the phone, wait for someone to give you a job. And you see that with a lot of young people. I'm very impressed now. Like those kids on Ped 15. They just got together. They were NYU students. They got together and started putting something up on the web. And a lot of shows also, what's her name? You know, that very good show, Abbott Elementary, that people are just being creative and getting their work out there. Nowadays, you can do a lot with a phone. You can make a movie with a phone, right?
Right.
And a lot of young people do. And I think that's admirable. That get together, all actors know writers, all writers know directors, get together in a group and create something. Why not?
There's so much potential opportunity that you can tap into. It's
That is true. That really is true. And also the thing I think that a lot of creative people forget is generally, if you're creative in one area, chances are you're creative in another as well. So I was an actor, and my husband and somebody else said, you know, you really should write. And I started out doing improvisational comedy in New York, a street theater company. And I thought, well, when you do improv, you're really writing. You're writing on your feet. I just never thought of it that way. I thought, well, I'm going to write down some of my, you know, my improvised thoughts. But my husband also says I did solo shows because I wanted to make sure I was mentioned in the reviews. That's true. I'm always the bit player. I'm never mentioned. So here they can't avoid me, right? Written, performed, composed, and starring. Total ego trip.
so what goes into creating a solo show? Yenta Unplugged. Yeah, like, that was your
Now that I look back, and I don't want to say I regret it, but I'd much rather do what I'm doing now, storytelling. It's a very, creating a solo show, it's a huge amount of work. And I have an actor friend who says, out here, who says, my big fear in life is that a friend of mine is going to invite me to see his solo show. Because every actor thinks they can do it. Every actor thinks they have a story to tell. And for the most part, they don't. So it's not something I would encourage people to do. I'd rather encourage them to get together with their creative friends and do what we were talking about before. Create a show, create a movie, create a podcast, you know what I mean? It's a tough road. And one of the things you really have to do is be a member of a theater company. I was a member of a theater company. That's how I got it produced. If you're on your own and you're not a member of a company, to get it produced, to get it mounted, to get it reviewed, it's not easy. I don't recommend it to anybody.
so
On the other hand, there's stand-up. You know, people who I mean, you can always go to an open mic night. You can always put together, I mean, that's another way of being a solo performer.
for sure, for sure. I did stand up for 20 years. Yeah. It's
Did you really?
I did. I loved it. I would kind of
I have a lot of friends. I have friends that are stand-ups. I'll tell you a great story, actually, about Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know if I have it in the book. I have a friend, Monica Piper. It's very funny. She's a
I
good
love Monica
stand-up.
White.
You know Monica?
Yeah, I had her on my show.
Oh, really? You're kidding. Well, she and I are members of the same theater company, actually. But years ago, she told me that years ago, she was in San Francisco. She was on the same bill as Jerry Seinfeld. And there was a young kid in UB who was doing stand-up for the first time that night. And after the show, Jerry, who, as I said, he's a nice guy, he congratulated the kid. He said, "Hey, good job," whatever. And the kid says, "Oh, Mr. Seinfeld, could you please introduce me to the booker of the Tonight Show?" And Jerry said, "No, I can't, but I will do something for you." And he takes a pencil out of his pocket or a pen and hands it to the kid and says, "Use this every day for 4 hours for the next 2 years, then contact me." And I thought that's a profound story about what it takes to be an artist, a solo performer, stand up, anything. Take out that pen and use it, work on yourself and your material for 4 hours every day. How we all know about him and his work discipline, how he writes and works and polishes. And
That's the problem. While you found fame after many decades with TikTok, a lot of it, there's a lot of the opposite where somebody with that amount of time in, the comedian that went up to Jerry and asked to be booked on the Tonight Show, and can become famous in 15 minutes on TikTok,
right.
and doesn't have the discipline or the years to be able to apply
Mhm.
to the craft, like that's probably one of the pieces
Yeah.
of success is you have so much knowledge that you're
And
also
you know what? I appreciate that. And it's not just knowledge, it's also life experience. If I talk in the book about marriage or dating or being a mother or motherhood, I mean, I've been through a lot and I've learned, I've had some terrible mistakes. I had the world's worst postpartum depression. I was hospitalized for 4 months after my baby was born, unnecessarily. And now I consider myself to be the world's best mother. But because I've gone through all those things, younger people can benefit. They can benefit from my tragedies, from my mistakes,
in addition
right?
to TikTok. Is that one of the reasons then you wrote the book?
I always want to share my stories. And the TikTok thing was what allowed me to find a publisher, because they figured I had a platform, I had an audience. But what I do in the book is really a collection of humorous essays, some personal about me, some observations about others' life. But in a way, it's still storytelling. It's still what I do on TikTok, but expanded. The stories, on TikTok, you only have, when I started, you only had 60 seconds. Now you can do more, but I still only do about a minute because people these days have no attention spans.
Brevity is the key. I agree with that. Yeah.
So, but in the book, I can take a 1 minute TikTok thing and turn it into the 12-minute piece that it really was meant to be.
So how much time do you spend on the TikTok? Like making the videos, and like how much of that is
Less now. I made a mistake. For a long time, I was posting twice a day, which means that I had to come up with 14 things a week. Now I don't. I've been told I don't need to do that. So I do, I shoot maybe once or twice a week, and I post maybe 5 or 6 times a week. But my numbers have gone way up, and that's the important thing on TikTok, your numbers. And you know what? Like everything else, it is not an exact science. I put something up a couple of weeks ago because I had no more material, and I had run into this sweet kid, a young kid, a 14-year-old fan. I believe he's Korean. I just talked, and I thought no one's going to be interested in this or him or me, but I had no other material. I stuck it on there. It has now something like 500,000 views. Don't ask me why. I cannot explain it. I cannot explain. I mean, he's sweet. It's a sweet conversation, but there's nothing that I thought earth-shattering. I don't know why it would have appealed to that many people. I can't explain it. I don't know if you saw that one.
I didn't see that one, but I can't wait
It's
to go
pretty
find it.
recent. It's relatively recent. I don't get it.
That's it baffles me. Like, something will do great on YouTube but not on TikTok, or I mean, like, different audiences, things blow up. You never know. You never.
It is not rocket science. It is not an exact science. So again, like I said before, you do your work, you put it all out there. What is the expression? Is there something about casting your something? Is that what it means to cast your stones upon the water or something? What does that expression mean?
I don't know. Yeah,
I think it's something about you just put it out there, not knowing what the results are going to be.
casting stones upon water, create a ripple effect by taking an action that has wider implications, even if it seems small or insignificant.
Oh, there you go. Okay, that's it. We're going to cast, I like the language. We're going to cast our stones upon the water and just see if there'll be a ripple effect. I like that a lot.
I love it. I love it. Annie, you're so fun to talk to. I'm so happy that we
Really, you think so? Ask my husband, see if he agrees with you. He may not. Or can we remind them about the book? You know, I'm
Yes.
an
Yeah, for
aggressive.
sure. All right. Annie wrote
They
an
can get it
amazing
at
book.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's The Book of Annie, Humor, Heart, and Chutzpah from an Accidental Influencer. I made a big mistake with the title. When I called it The Book of Annie, if you look up The Book of Annie, it brings you to the show, Annie. So I made a big mistake. So you're better off if you look for Annie Korzen, if you look for my name on Amazon. But at this time, you'll find it. The Book of Annie, Humor, Heart, and Chutzpah from an Accidental Influencer, blah, blah, blah. I also recorded the audio version.
I would hope so. That's awesome.
They asked me to audition. Hello.
We're looking for an Annie
My
Korzen
agent said, who are you going to get for the Book of Annie? Helen Mirren?
type. Meg
Ingrid
Ryan.
Berg, Meg Ryan? Right, right. Can you believe it?
When I put the show notes, I will put, of course, a link directly to both your TikTok
Oh,
and the book.
to Amazon. Oh, that would be great. Oh, thank you so much.
Of course, my
I
pleasure.
like you, Jeff.
I like you, Annie. This was fun.